So the reason I like to share a little short video like this every time I come on and speak to you guys is because the personal development side of life in general is so important, and none more so than when we're playing with or we're playing the game that we're playing, where emotions are going to play a huge part in how you perform and your results. So personal development is just all about developing a positive mindset, and also just learning how to deal with things in life much better, none more so than when we're playing the game that we're playing, which is obviously trading. So let me just play this for you, and then I'll get into tonight's information.
See, you can do anything. You can get up any hour, read any book, take any class, make any change, develop any skill, do any discipline. I mean, you can do it all. When this how and the why, or when the why starts to grow, the how gets simple.
So that's it, really short one for you today, and I think that really epitomizes um, certainly the way I think about trading, and the way I think about this community, because having a strong enough reason as to why you're doing anything will keep you in check, in particular when it comes to dealing with things that can potentially rattle you emotionally. And trust me when I say this, if you're already involved with us, you'll understand this anyway. But if you're not involved with us yet and you're looking to get involved with us, you will learn over time that let me just get this sorted here. That's better. You will learn over time that keeping your emotions in check is going to be the biggest weapon in your armory, so to speak. Because, like I said, it's a bit of a emotional roller coaster what we go through with this trading game. So I'm going to share. I've just got a little. I got the old artificial intelligence to knock me a little PDF up today, so I'm going to share this today. And so, although this is just my personal banner. Somebody else might have invited you to check this call out. So if they did, make sure you go back to that person. Don't come to me if somebody else has invited you to check this information out. Go back to the person that brought you. But just a little disclaimer before we get started. I am not a financial advisor, and any information that I share with you tonight is not financial advice. My name is Ben Cockayne. My background is I'm in the fitness industry. I'm a dad of two young kids, and I'm a husband. And prior to all of that, I had a career in rugby league as well. So that's kind of my background. And right now, I'm building a couple of businesses. I'm building a Korean skincare business with my wife, and I'm also building this trading community. And one thing that I want to get clear to you immediately is that I'm not a hype guy. I'm not like there's nothing extravagant about me or anything flashy, and I won't go down that route ever, because my priority is to stay humble, because I know during this process that we're all involved in, or whether you're going to be involved with us or not, if you are not humble, you will be humbled. And I've experienced it myself with the markets. You think you're on a roll, you get a bit cocky, you get a bit clever, and before you know it, bang, the market will smack your ass good and proper. So being humble, and just being genuine is really, really what I'm about, and what I want to what I want to be for you guys as well. So what we do, and what we're here for, primary asset of trading is XAU USD. So XAU USD is what gold will come under when you're on your app. They're the symbols for it, XAU USD, because we're trading the US dollar against gold. The way we're doing it is we're executing through a designated broker. So we use a broker called Vantage. And again, the person that brought you to this call will have a link for you to get registered with our broker, because once you register with our broker, then you get access to our community absolutely free. And you are 100% in control of that money that you deposit with the broker. It doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to the person that invited you. It doesn't belong to the broker. It belongs to you, and you are 100% in control of that, and you can withdraw it at any time you want. So if you decide after a couple of days at it, it's not for you, you can take your money out. If you make a load of money, you can take your money out. And that's obviously the name of the game. We want you to profit, withdraw. That's kind of the process we want you to get into. And we're going to talk about a few things tonight that are going to help you, or give you the best chance of getting into that positive cycle of profiting and withdrawing. So the goal is to compound your money. That is the goal, right? And I think a realistic target is 2% to 5% per day. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot. Doesn't sound like a lot at all. But if you can tell me or show me anywhere else where I can put some money and I can accumulate 2% to 5% growth per day, then I will happily put it in, because there's not too many places where you can do that. Now, I'm not sitting here and guaranteeing that you will do that with what we're doing, but I would say if you can follow the rules and stay disciplined, which we'll talk about as we get through this information, then you are going to have a higher chance of accumulating that kind of growth on your income. Not guaranteed, nothing's guaranteed, but you're going to have a higher chance of achieving that by staying disciplined. And we'll talk about all that stuff as we get through the information. So as a prime example, last week I did just over 10%, probably about 10, 11% last week, which obviously broken down over the 5 trading days is just over 2% a day. So the approach for us here is to focus on the process. Because if you start getting shiny object syndrome, where, you know, because we share results, that's part of us growing the business. We share results, obviously, and what you might see is some people's accounts, they're making hundreds of pounds, some maybe even thousands of pounds per week, but their lot size and their account size will typically be quite a large size. That's why you might see those numbers. So we want to focus on the process of growing by the percent rather than the number. Now, if you want to grow the number quicker or the number bigger, you're going to need to start with a bigger starting pot. That's just the name of the game, unless you go off gambling, over leveraging, which we absolutely do not advocate for. And then we're just, as it says there, we're just looking for steady gains rather than high risk gambling. There's no hype or egos. I talked about this when we first got started. You won't see none of that here. We want to just keep everything as professional as we can. We want people to come and have success without giving it the big ones. Yes, like I've said, we will share results and we'll promote results and testimonials, but we're not hyping anything up. We're just showing the reality of what's possible with what it is that we're doing. But the reality of it is, the market will humble you if you don't have rules and discipline in place. And as I've said, we're going to talk about that tonight. So we're not gambling. We're just following the instructions that we've been given. Now, you might get to a point where you become smart enough yourself and have the time yourself to go on the charts and do your own trading, because we have 2 or 3 training calls on a weekly basis that you get access to. And those training calls are absolutely free. I tell the story about when I first got started in trading back in 2020 or thereabouts, during the COVID era. I was paying a membership of about £150 a month subscription to learn from people who were far more successful than me at trading, which were, you know, worth the money, but we're getting access to all that for free right now. So our system has been built where the only stipulation with you trading with us is that you use our broker. Everything else is provided absolutely free. So non-negotiables, it says on there, our non-negotiables. These are actually my non-negotiables. Now, you can adopt these rules yourself, or you can put your own rules in place. But ultimately, if you try playing this game without any rules, the chances are you're going to come out on the losing side more often than the winning side. So having rules in place is such an important part of what we do here. So these are just mine. I will never enter a trade without a stop loss. Now, the way that we trade, we might get an instruction that come through. It'll either be a zone that we're looking to enter the trade with, or it might just be a quick buy now or sell now instruction. If it's the latter, if it's a buy now or sell now, then we haven't got much time. So, and gold moves really quick. So you've got to go into the MetaTrader 5 app. You'll execute the trade, be it a buy or a sell, and then immediately go and put a stop loss in. Now, for me, I personally put 100 pip stop loss in away from where I entered the trade. Now, if we've been given a zone to enter the trade, that zone could be what we call 50 pips in depth, which is the equivalent of $5 in price. So depending where you enter in that zone, personally for me, I will always put 100 pip stop loss. Then I will go back and get further instructions from the trader, and then I will modify it afterwards. All right, so I never enter a trade without a stop loss. I've done it once previously, back end of last month, and I lost 700 quid in the space of probably half an hour. So that were a good old slap in the face. All right, and from that point onwards, I have made sure, without shadow of a doubt, I get a stop loss in before I take a trade. And on the back of that, my account's grown back up nicely over the last few weeks. Never trade in a negative frame of mind. Now, this is really important because I talked about this at the beginning. Emotionally, this game, this way of earning money can potentially have your life to the point where, you know, it really stresses you out and you're up and down and your emotions are, if you're an emotional person, this might not be the opportunity for you. And I'm just being straight up with you. You know, I don't want to say it's for everybody because it's absolutely not. If you know you are an emotional character and things get on your nerves pretty heavily, if you, particularly when it comes to money, if you lose a little bit of money, and it's going to rattle you and put you in a negative frame of mind, this is probably not the space for you to be coming and investing your money and your time. All right. But never take trades if you're in that kind of mindset. You might have something going on at home, at work, in your personal life, however it looks. But if you find yourself in a negative frame of mind for whatever reason, just don't entertain it, because unawareingly you will trade in that state of mind that you're in. All right, and it's not often going to end out too well for you. Number 3, stop trading when you hit your percentage target for the day. Now, for me, it's 5% either way, and the same's on number 4. If I profit 5% in a day, I stop. If I lose 5% in a day, I will stop. They're just my personal rules because I'm happy with that. All right, you've got to choose what's going to be suitable and what you're going to be happy with. And then the great thing about what we've got here, the no barriers to entry, no subscription fees, no setup fees, also no guarantees. And I always think that this is a rule-based success journey that you're going to go on. If you've got no rules, the journey's maybe not going to be quite as successful. So operate with rules, and then the success will come back on being disciplined and adhering to those rules for the long term and not just relying on luck. All right. If you're somebody that, you know, you come in and looking at this because you've seen somebody showing a Lamborghini or a fancy Rolex or whatever it looks like on TikTok or wherever, if you're coming in looking at this just because you've seen something like that, then I would just say be careful. All right, because it's not all that. We need to have rules and we need to be working on discipline. All right. If you're somebody that's coming in for a bit of a gamble, you might be better going in the casino or in the bookies rather than coming here. And that's that. So that's the first things I wanted to share with you tonight, guys. Right, and the next things I want to quickly cover are just some bits of information. I'm going to give you some hypothetical examples of how you can compound your money. But before I do that, I'm just going to quickly show you some information about risk management. I think this is really important that we cover this every single week, to be honest. Again, bear with me, guys. Here we go. So there's a couple of things you need to understand. And again, this is probably more for the new people. If you're experienced, you understand all this already. If you've been around a while, you should understand this already. But these equations or these numbers are what you need to really prioritize understanding. So again, if you're quite new to trading, or if you're looking at it, we're potentially getting started with us, you need to understand all this. So you're going to hear the term pips. You're going to hear the term stop loss. What else might you hear? These are they're the primary things that you're going to hear when it's relative to placing a trade. You're going to hear lot size. So pips are points in the market when the market moves. So just to give it you nice and simple, if the price of gold moves by $5, so I think the price of gold at the moment is somewhere around $5,100. If the price of gold was to move $5 either up or down in price, that would be the equivalent of 50 pips. So there's 10 pips in every $1 that gold moves in price. That's the first thing you need to know. Now, when it comes to placing a trade, you're going to use something called a lot size. And this is going to be your capital, the money that you're going to trade with. And that is going to represent whatever size your lot size is, that's going to represent the amount of money that you're going to risk on a particular trade based on how many pips your stop loss is going to be at. So as an example, the lowest lot size that we can use is a 0.01. So if we're on 0.01 and our stop loss is 50 pips away from where we entered the trade, then that is going to be a risk of $5. So we're going to be risking $5. And then it just starts to multiply as you go up. If your stop loss is 60 pips on the same 0.01, you're risking $6 and so on. 0.01 at 70 pips is $7. Now, if that jumps to a 0.02, then the numbers just double. All right, so you can see where this is going on the screen. Again, if you're new, guys, just screenshot this just so you can understand this, because once you figure this out and you get your risk management in order, the journey is going to be so much more exciting for you. All right, so this is such an important part of trading. And what I've learned over the last couple of months is some people who come in and get started with us, they're taking trades on maybe a 0.10 lot size with a £300 account, and that is just you're risking $50 per trade, which on a £300 account is a high percentage of your capital. And I would say we want to be risking anywhere between 1% and 3% of our capital per trade. All right, so we need to really understand that, because if not, it's only a matter of time before you're going to blow your account. Yes, you might get lucky and you might multiply your money really quickly, as I've seen happen with other people as well. But ultimately, in the long term, you're probably going to get bitten. So we need to really understand this. And if you don't understand it before you start taking trades, speak to the person that invited you to our community and make sure they explain it to you. Because once you've grasped that, I don't want to say it's going to be easy and you're going to make a ton of money and give you all this bullshit. But what I will say is it'll make the process and the journey way more enjoyable for you and probably less emotional. Because if you know what you're risking per trade, then you're obviously going to be happy with that. If you know that on a single trade, you're risking $10, you're basically telling yourself, I'm happy to lose that $10. Because the reality of it is you can lose money. So you need to figure this out as an absolute necessity before you start taking trades. A couple of things I do want to show you as well regarding the potential to compound your money. So I'll just quickly show you this one on a £500 account. No, I won't, because it's playing games with me again. Hang on. Try again. So if you were to start with a £500 account, and this is based on 3% and 5% growth on a daily basis. You could say on a weekly basis. I mean, if you're making 5% a week on your money, again, where else are you making that on your money? I don't know too many other places where we can do that. But like I said, some people get shiny object syndrome. They see all this stuff on social media where people are, living the flash, lavish lifestyles and so on. But we need to understand that some of those people, fair play, will be legit. They'll have built themselves up over years and then be showing it off. But we need to be mindful that the reality for the most of us is that if you're playing the game properly with rules and discipline, it's going to be a slow process to get to that point. All right. So on a £500 account, over 20 trading days at 3% a day growth, you're looking at £900 or thereabouts. These are hypothetical examples. So nothing I'm showing you here is guaranteed. These are just hypothetical examples that are going to give you an opportunity to grow your money. 5% growth, obviously, down the right-hand side. You can see the numbers on it. And I just wanted to show you the £1,000 example as well, just to give you a bit of an idea of what you're looking at with compounding your money at this rate. And then on a £1,000 account, it obviously the monetary value grows quicker, but the percentage remains the same. So when you get started, there's no pressure from us, or there's no pressure from me or whoever's invited you to the community to say you need to put X amount of money in. The only thing you do need to know is when you become part of the community, to go through the broker, the minimum to get access to all the community and all the free stuff is £300. deposit to get started. That's the only stipulation. As well as using our broker, it's a minimum of 300 quid. Now, on a 300 quid account, obviously looking to grow your money. I think I've got an example of that actually. Let me have a quick look. No, I haven't. I can't see it on my desktop. But again, you're just looking to compound your money sensibly over time rather than over leveraging, gambling, and hoping you're going to make the big money anytime soon. If you want to make big money, then I would suggest you're going to need a bigger pot of money to start with. But what I said to everybody when starting with this is, do not come into this with a pot of money that you are not willing to lose. You need to have that mentality towards it, because the reality of it is you can absolutely lose money. And I'm not going to sit here, and I never will sit here and say that you're going to win every day and every week, because you're not. Last week, I had a good week personally. The previous week, I lost £150 over the course of the week. I think then last week I profited about 790. So there's going to be a bit of a roller coaster for you to go on. A lot of it's going to depend on your experience. A lot of it's going to depend on the trades that you actually get access to, because we get sent anywhere between, I'd say, 5 and 20 trades a day, depending what group you're in. And obviously, depending which trades you get on will determine your success rate as well. So in terms of getting started with us, what you need to do is go to the person that invited you. I imagine you're in a Telegram community group. If that's the case, go back to that group. There'll be a join free part within the group where you can just click on join free, and it'll take you through a step-by-step guide to get started. There's some automation, there's some bits you've got to fill out, and then it'll take you to our broker. When you go to the broker, you just proceed to the sign up process, putting your details in and validating who you are and so on, and then you're good to go. But use the community and the person that invited you, or whoever's community you're in. Make sure you use that person if you need them. All right, because it's all good and well us inviting people to the community, but we want to be there and support you and make sure you get the benefit out of what we're doing as well. So just prioritize that. In terms of anything else to run through tonight, I don't want to go through anything else. I wanted to keep it short and sharp. I wanted to talk a little bit. That's all I wanted to talk about in terms of getting started and how I operate and within my community. But I wanted to just bang home a little bit more about having realistic expectations, because whilst people can come into the communities and have quick success, and Josh was on the call last week, he won't mind me saying this, I spoke to Josh last week, we had a coffee on Friday. I think he started with a £250 account and he got it up to over £1,000 in the week. And we had a bit of a laugh and joke about it, really, because he were taking trades without stop losses. And until we had that conversation in that meeting, I think he's on. Josh, do you want to jump in and have a quick chat? I think it'd be good for people to hear this, mate, if you're there. I know your camera's off, mate, but if you're there and you can hear me, just unmute yourself, pal.
Yeah, got you. Now then.
No, I think it'd be great just for people to hear like the process you went through last week, because I know you. So go on, mate. I'll just leave it to you to explain what happened.
Yeah, this will be a laugh. Yeah, so basically I started off with obviously 250 deposit. And yeah, the first day I started trading properly, I made roughly about £200, which was, fairly all right. And then the second day after that I made 460. And then I started to get a bit excited with myself and like get carried away. So on the third day, I started to do even better than that. And on the night after all the trades had finished, I got a bit risky really. And I put a trade in and then I put another one in and it just went down and down and down and ended up losing, over 300 quid because I got ahead of myself and I got, like you say, shiny object syndrome, or, I let my emotions get the better of me. But yeah, definitely a learning experience with that one.
I think the great thing about that there, mate, is it's an example that you can come in and you can have like, it's almost like beginner's luck, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But when he was saying I made 200 quid in my first day, I was like, mate, you've been fucking over leveraged. You've been well over leveraged,
Doing too much.
Yeah, doing too much. And like I say, he got lucky, he made some money. And I think after we had a chat on Friday, I would like to think now moving forward, there's going to be a bit more patience, a bit more understanding about how to play the game better. Even though you had some quick success, mate, I think
Yeah.
your approach moving forward? Because I got the impression after we spoke on Friday that you were certainly in it
Oh
for
yeah,
in it for the long game anyway,
100%.
and just understanding a little bit more about the experience you had was somewhat a little bit lucky,
Yeah.
and could have quite
So
easily gone the other way though. That's the truth of that.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but awesome, mate. Cheers for chipping in
Yeah.
with it.
No worries.
So that's just an example there, guys, of, and I'm not saying come in and do what Josh did, by the way. And I'm certainly not bagging. I said to him on Friday, so I'm not bagging you for making that money, but mate, that's not the way to do it. Although you've gone and made yourself a fair bit of a packet there, let's just be a bit more sensible and disciplined moving forward. And that's kind of the encouragement and the kind of community mentality I want to breed into people, because like I said, you'll see it time and time again on social media in particular, people, giving it the big ones. And the reality of it is we can get humbled pretty quick. So I just want you to all come in with realistic expectations, understand how to manage your risk, how to manage your lot sizes, have discipline and have rules in place. Like I said, when I was going through that little slideshow there, if you've got rules in place that you can adhere to, whether they're exactly like mine or you just make some up of your own, have some rules in place and stay disciplined, because what you will find is if you're on a winning streak like Joshua and you were getting more and more excited, then that's the emotional game then. And it goes both ways, winning or losing. You might, I mean, if it had gone the other way, you might find yourself revenge trading and getting angry and fucking just trying to chase it back. Or if you're winning, you might be getting more excited. Oh, I'll put my lot size up a bit higher. This is great. So it's a proper emotional roller coaster. But we want to keep that ride that we're on as smooth as possible without the up and down. Because if we can keep it as smooth as possible, then the longevity for you in the game will be obviously much longer. Be much longer, much more enjoyable, and you will constantly be able to take money out of the market rather than having your pants pulled down one week and then you pulling off a blinder the following week. You don't want to be on that up and down. You want to keep it as smooth a ride as you can, and you're going to need rules, discipline, and be willing to take small profits. We don't have to win big every time. So that's all I've got for you tonight, guys. I don't really want to go on about anything else. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I think 30 minutes is plenty. I don't know if anybody's got any questions they might want to drop in the chat or unmute themselves and fire away with. But we'll have 4 or 5 minutes if anybody's got any questions. If not, we'll pull it there. Or if anybody wants to chip in with anything, actually. Crooksy, you're an experienced campaigner. Have you got out you want to chip in with, mate?
No, you basically covered it all, mate. Like we say, it's the long game, and the more you can have your goals and your actual aspirations in front of you, invisible. Sorry, that's just my daughter coming in sneezing everywhere in the kitchen. I'll be in a minute, darling. It makes it a lot easier for you. So I'll quickly show you this. I've got in the first couple of weeks, I did pretty well. I was consistently making 10%. So now you can see behind me, I've got it up on a blackboard. 30 days. All the Fridays ticked off. Trying to aim for 10% a day, which has been really achievable for me so far. I've had a couple of bad days, don't get me wrong, that I've had to try and claw myself back from. But that's me setting my expectations and what I want to achieve out in front of me, making it visible. And it keeps me accountable. My wife can see it, my kids can see it. So my wife will ask me, oh, how much you made today? Oh, blah, blah, blah. So I can't go over leverage, blow my account, and then try and sneak some more money in because you're like, well, what happened? Because it's up there on board. And every day, at the end of every trading day, bang it up there. And then I know if I've gone a little bit too overboard, over leveraged a little bit, not so much over leveraged, but over traded, taken too many, lost a couple too many. I know the next day I can pull it back a little bit, or even more. So if I made a little bit more, I don't have to be in the markets as long tomorrow because I've got it there in front of me, visible to see.
Awesome. Lovely job. I think we just got good job in the chat. Yeah, Kev. So all I would say on that, mate, is just go and speak to an accountant about it, bud. Have a natter with an accountant about what you do with your profits, mate, when you make the profits. Guys, I'm gonna call it there because, like I said, 30 minutes is plenty on a Sunday evening. Markets open at 10 o'clock. Trade sensibly this week. I think just going off what I remember from last week, there were a lot of success that seemed to be coming into the group before 8 a.m. I'm not saying that's going to be the same this week, but if you are somebody that gets up at 6 a.m., 6 a.m., then you might get some joy before you even get out the door for work on a morning. So trade sensibly, trade with discipline. If you've got any questions or you need anything, like I said, go to the person that invited you to the community, or you can come and give me a shout and I'll be more than happy to help where I can. All right, folks, have a good week. I'll see you all soon.